Wait, are you are you gonna count me in? Whatever. I'm just gonna go for it. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. And they're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast.
Now here's your host, Amy Singleton, the queen of realness, leading conversations about business, life, and the real shit you want to know.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. Today, I am so happy to have Linda Clark here, guys. When I think of leadership, when I think of teams, when I think of all things amazing, I think of Linda. I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak a few times, and now you guys will have the pleasure to meet her today. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, you and I have been this mutual admiration society since day one. I don't know if you remember, you were at a speaking engagement there. I was this host. And
Yes,
you left me a handwritten card. And
I
I was like,
did.
ooh. So no, I loved it. And I still have the card. And then I stole your habit. So thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah,
It
it's a
was
good one.
it was a big deal. Like, I don't even know you. And you
Really?
left me this card. And then I went and Googled you. And then I was like, oh, she's my family. Like,
Oh, that's right.
friend.
Yeah, we're family. I'm the fangirl. Like I used to just run up to people and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited." And then I learned that writing a little card is a little bit more palatable with my too muchness that I am.
Right? Like,
So
you're both
it's
in
a
the too
little more
much club.
approachable. Yeah, yeah. But so
And I just don't
tell
have
us.
filters. Like, I was
eh,
excited, right? And I'm past that part of my life where I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, I got a letter. This is awesome. So,
Yeah, exactly. You talk a lot about being feral
mhm.
in leadership. Tell us define what that means and what have we gotten away from that we need to rewild in your words.
So that's become a huge part of my heart the last few years, right? So I'm a Dare to Lead facilitator. And then out of that work, I started taking up whitewater kayaking, and then that led to hiking, and then it led to mountain biking, and then I'm outside all the time. And I was becoming a better leader while it happened, getting
Mm,
away from the office, getting away from the fluorescent lights. But it's more than that, really. So I went and Googled, because, my husband is the one that termed the term feral. Um, Someone actually said to him, like, is it hard to be married to her? And he's like, not really, as long as you consider that she's kind of feral. She's going to take off on
yes.
occasion, not tell you where she went. She's going to come home when she's hungry. She might be a little scuffed up when she gets here, but there'll be a good adventure to talk about. And I was
Yes.
like, that's not the best definition ever. So then I started looking into it more. Feral is not wild, right? I actually mentioned feral on a Facebook thread, and I argued on Facebook, which we all know is the 11th commandment. Don't argue on Facebook, but I
That's
did.
right.
And I'm like, hey, I'm just kind of feral. And this lady comes out in full on Karen mode. And she's like, so if you need a dentist, you just wander through the woods naked until you find one. And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
that was a really big jump from
Yeah.
being kind of feral to now I'm naked in the woods looking for a dentist. But if there
Yeah.
is one, I think it would work
Let's
out,
meet up
right?
around a campfire. I mean, I'm here
Right?
for this.
But I was like, wow, that's a really big jump, because she's offended when I remind people that we are animals. We are
Yeah.
herd animals.
Yes,
So
we
we're
are.
moving away from that. So the definition of feral is the return to wild after attempts at domestication. And then I started looking at
Ooh.
my 30s and 40s in corporate America and handbooks that try to make humans behave in very specific methods. And if that's not domestication, I don't know what is. And as
Yeah.
you look at, like, well, what are my clients calling me about? They want innovation, critical problem solving, and effective decision making. Right now, that's the problem. They're like, Linda, where did it go? And I'm like, well, we
Mm,
killed it. We scheduled everything. We told everybody that how you are naturally doesn't count. We
yeah.
said, oh, your lived experience, don't bring that to work. This is business, not personal.
Hmm.
We said my gut. We went, no, no, your intuition. Generations of ancestors do nothing to support your critical thinking. Don't think about that. But when you look at where does innovation come from? Innovation is the combination of your lived experience, your education, and your intuition. And we've
Mhm.
literally killed it. So what
Yeah.
I'm seeing right now, and I bet you are as well, people are telling me, Linda, I want more confidence, when what they mean is I want more certainty. It's not
Mm.
about confidence at
Yeah.
all. They want the right steps to take. They want to know the absolute outcome with as little risk as possible. And
Yes.
that's as
Oh my gosh.
domesticated as it gets,
That's
right?
absolutely right.
So
So
there's
what
the circular around. So there's a lot going on with it. It's a very thoughtful choice of term in my book.
Very much so. And I find as well that I really feel like people are craving that human connection. People think we're disconnected and everything's online and all of that, but more than ever, we're craving that personal connection, that going kind of back to what we were supposed to be in the first place. So,
But
how
we don't
can
know how to
leaders,
get there now because it's
right? Like,
messy,
what does
right?
that mean in practical terms? Like, what does that really mean? You
I
know?
mean, for me, it's been model it, right? I get
Hmm.
the feedback of, holy cow, I see you out there. I see you out there talking about being autistic, right? Like that was a late
Hmm.
diagnosis. I was in my 40s. Now I'm 57, right? I'm 10 plus years into it. But
Yeah.
still, people come up to me and go, I didn't know y'all could talk. And I'm like, okay, so I don't speak for the body of everybody experiencing autism,
Yeah.
Aaron, but fix yourself, right? But they need to see it. They need to see that I have been nonverbal in the middle of speaking engagements, and I just have to go, so help me find my train of thought. It's not that I'm
Hmm.
unprofessional or unprepared. It's that my brain likes to do an active memory swipe every now and then and just go, this will be fun. So all of that has mattered, right? How many times I went to work because I didn't know that wearing long sleeves is a sensory disorder for me. So every
Mm.
dress code that made me wear a suit with nice long sleeves sitting on my wrist, driving me crazy. So I can't hear a word you're saying. All I'm thinking about is when can I take this jacket off?
Yeah.
I work
Wow.
better with color around me. How many gray offices have I worked in?
So
There's people
many.
that love how I think and they can't hire me because I have green hair.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing to ourselves? Like, but I think the answer to that is we stopped asking questions.
Yes.
Somewhere in the 90s, we really started prioritizing the perfectionism and ending our sentences with periods. Feral
Mm.
people, we end our sentences with question marks. How will
Yeah.
this work? What can we do to make it better? What are the risks? Like we're constantly questioning and getting told to shut up.
Yeah.
Other people are like, I know the answer. I brought the receipts. And they're like, good job. Good job. Can you be innovative? No.
Yeah.
So which do you want? Right? And we go
That's
together.
right.
I need, feral doesn't mean a bear. Feral doesn't mean a shark. We can't all be sharks and bears.
That's
Some of
right.
us need to be well-mannered sloths and
That's
colorful chipmunks, and we need a happy river otter every now and then, just keeping the peace.
right. That's right.
So I don't want people to think feral means without structure. Ecosystems have amazing structure until humans screw it up.
That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of humanness going on in good and bad ways.
Amazing ones. The problem is people are just upset that it's going on and they're like, ooh, this is messy. And I'm like, it's always been messy. Labor is messy. We
That's
started
right.
messy. Then we somewhere got a message of clean up, act right, do the right thing, pay attention. Little girls are singing
Where did
hard.
that come from? Where
Little
did this
girls are
come from?
singing
Because
hard.
that's right. That's
There
right.
is no I in teams. That is officially, that's the most toxic sentence being said in corporate workplaces right now.
Hmm.
There is no
Elaborate on
I.
that a bit. I love
So,
what you have to say about this.
yeah, because I get on a tangent, right? Because what we
I
tried to
love
do is
it.
we homogenize teams. Like I have been coached in my career, like you need to be a better team player. Okay, cool. What does that mean? Well, I
Yeah.
don't know, just go be nicer or something. Well, what does that mean? Devil's advocates aren't always nice, and we desperately need them.
Yes.
Accounting, they're not always nice, and we desperately need them. Engineering has no patience with most of us, and we desperately need them.
That's
But
right.
we forget that part, right? So the individuals are the first I in the team that matters.
Hmm.
Oh, my innate things, the things I was born with. I don't care what faith path you follow or none. However you showed up here with your combination of mitochondria and nuclei and a spine, no one's ever seen it before. And yet
That's
we're
right.
all walking around going, I'm not enough. Instead of going, I'm a friggin' original and you better enjoy me while I'm here because it will never be this combination again. That's
Mm.
not arrogant. Like the world has never seen your combination of brains and the red lip and you're so smart, but you're also funny and you hit the button on your camera often, right? Like that was a funny story last week that I'm not retelling, but you're as human as it comes, right? I can be super smart about leadership and conflict and dumb as a post about neurosurgery, and that's okay. I can be kind of good at makeup and not good at this thing over here. But it wasn't until I was 55 or so that I was comfortable just sitting in public going, no, I'm a complete idiot at that, and I'm really okay with it.
That's right.
I don't have to be smart at everything. I've
That's
got my
right.
little lane of smart.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
We all have something different
yeah.
um to
But
bring
we're
to that.
ruining, like, we're not thinking about it's okay to say, what were you born with? You know, what did your grandma always say the sun rose and set on with you? What did
Yeah.
your cousins always come to you about? What did the neighbors come ask you for help with? What have you always
Mhm.
been known for?
Yeah.
I do that with executive coaching these days because people don't know who they are anymore. They know the
Yeah.
person they created.
That's right. Or that was created for them by
Absolutely.
everyone else around them, right?
Yeah, it's the
Like,
Miranda Priestley speech from The Devil Wears Prada of we decided on cerulean. That sweater
that's
was
right.
chosen for you,
That's
right?
right.
You didn't wear it with your independent thought. We picked it for you.
That's right.
That's the
And it trickled
domestication.
down all the way to the Walmart where you bought it
Yes.
with the
And
group.
some what it was it
Third,
some
right?
Florence been at Casual Corner, and I used to love Casual Corner. So
Right.
that stung when she leveled that one. I'm like, ooh, I remember
Wait a
Casual.
minute.
Yeah,
Like, shit, I'm a
yeah, shit.
statistic.
She came for me. No one comes for Gen X. They're mostly afraid of us. Like so.
That's right. That's right. So talk a little bit about your career in corporate and what caused you to leave that to dare to lead and do what you're doing now.
I had super good mentors, is really what it comes down to. I had the really good fortune of having some leaders in my career. Um, the very first general manager at AutoNation. So I spent 10 years with AutoNation doing HR. And we had an amazing HR director who's still with them and still checks on my career and how it's developing. But
Aw.
he's the one, when I tell the story about, I went in his office one day, I was a really junior HR person, maybe 2 years in, and I wanted an exception to the policy, right?
Mm.
So I was in there to ask for an exception. This person applying had a DUI. Probably not a great idea at a car dealership, right? But I liked
Yeah,
them.
no.
They were so nice, right? I wanted an exception.
Yeah.
So Peter, my boss at the time, was like, okay, make your case. And Peter is a lawyer. So making a case to Peter is you can't just give him puppy dog eyes and hope for the best.
Uh-uh.
So he put a chair in his office. We were in court, right? And I'm like,
Wow.
so and so has shown blah, blah, blah. You know, yes, their DUI was only 6 months ago, but I believe in them, even though. And then he put me in that chair and started cross-examining me about that
Wow.
exception. And I mean, it took about 10 minutes before I was like, oh. So did it mean I never asked for an exception again? No. What he taught me was, who do you go to bat for? Right?
Mm,
Like if they've been with you 20 years and there's grief in the family and there's a drinking problem develops and they have a DUI, that's a person that needs support,
that's
right?
right.
Maybe there's
Yeah.
rehab, maybe there's leave. Oh, they just got hired last week and made a really horrible decision. That could be discipline or that could be the end of a job, right?
Hmm.
He's the one that really got me to look at precedent because you have to in HR, right? But also the humanness of exception. And that
Mm.
real reason I wanted the exception is that I didn't want to have a tough conversation, which was, you're not
Oh.
qualified to work here right now. And I was uncomfortable with a tough conversation. So I was going to go be super nice and get an exception. And how often
Mm.
do we do that? Like I
So
would
often.
challenge anyone listening to this episode right now when it airs. Here's your truth or dare. Have you skipped a tough conversation in the last 30 days? I don't care
Mm.
why. You were tired, you didn't know what to say, you didn't have time, they were going to cry. How many of you skipped in the last 6 months? How many of you
Yeah.
skipped in the last year?
Yeah. How many of you skipped today?
Today, right?
Just
Like I
today.
know of 2 that I have skipped today. I know of 3 I've had.
Yeah.
The other 2 came on and I was like, I've had 3. I think I might be out of gas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to understand that can I make that choice? Yes. Am I in integrity when I do it? No. I'm
Mm,
not. I'm choosing comfort over being brave and muscling through. I am choosing comfort over just getting it done, ripping the Band-Aid. And
yeah.
that's been a game changer for me the last few years. That comes out of Dare to Lead.
Yeah.
I had always used the definition of integrity, like do the right thing even when no one's watching.
Yeah.
But then you get hung up on what's right. Is it my right? Is it my mom's right? Is it what Amy would do? What right? And then you don't do
Mm,
anything. But when I go courage over comfort, that pushes me to go to the gym, doesn't it? Instead of drive
yeah.
past the gym, choosing comfort. It pushes me to walk to the refrigerator and eat something good for me versus the quick order out that might be comfortable. Like I love me some lettuce wraps,
Yeah.
but the courage is the cheat meal is 4 days from now. It's not at lunch
Yeah.
today.
Hmm.
So I like to imagine that you do that to go do your cold dips because that is
Yeah.
not comfortable. I'm like, that's some courage over. She's in integrity, and that she's in
That's right.
integrity. I'm not
Yeah.
going with her, but she's in integrity. Like,
doing just doing the hard thing. I mean, and I have to tell myself that every single day is that the kindest thing I can do for me is to do the thing I don't really want to do.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
will
No
feel so
matter what that
good
is.
when it's done, right?
Yeah. It
When
feels
that
so
person
good.
goes, "Thank you for being brave and coming and talking to me," and you're like, "Yeah, I was brave, wasn't I?" I was like, "Oh, but I almost wasn't."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Doing it through the fear. Doing
yeah,
it through the fear has been the key for me. Is like I'm never not scared. I'm never not doubting or,
but
afraid,
we
but
have to
just
say that.
moving forward. Yeah.
Have to say that because my own clients have called and been like, I want to be like you. And I'm like, the green hair, the potty mouth, like what part? Like, choose
Yeah.
wisely, right? And they're like, no, I want to be fearless. And I'm like, holy cow, like a crying baby 10
Right.
times a day, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm going to go on a podcast, cry. Oh, I'm going to go talk to my publisher about a book, cry. Oh, I'm going to
Try.
new river and run a bigger rapid than I'm used to, cry. Oh, I'm going to go get a personal rep at the gym that's bigger than I've ever lifted before, cry. It's just part of
Yeah.
my process, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go get a haircut out of town.
Yeah,
Tell that story. We have to have this story recorded. We talked about it before we started recording,
that's
but
fair.
tell the
That's
people
fair.
you have
Um,
become so feral. You have traveled a lot throughout the summers and
yeah,
whatnot, and you found yourself somewhere not near your barber.
I moved, right? Like, I don't even know if you
Yeah.
know, I moved. Um,
Completely?
Oh yeah, we moved. So I'm
Okay.
in North Carolina, and all we did was I kept it really quiet because for the last 2 years we have been back and forth,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
when I went to my clients and I'm like, "Hey, I'm moving," and they're like, "Ah, what will we do?" I'm like, "Same thing you've been doing the last 2 years." Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to you if I drove to work or flew to work,
Yeah.
right? So the agreement, and I think this is important to talk about, right? Because in the last 3 years, a lot of people went home and worked
Yeah.
hybrid, and companies have actually said, what do we do? It's not fair to the employer, right? To just go, oh, I'm going to go live in San Francisco, the most expensive living area in the country, and I want you to pay me for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to my clients for me to go, I'm going to go live in North Carolina near the river, and I need you to pay me to travel. So I went to my current clients and was like, I'm not going to penalize you. Keep scheduling. It's all good. And they were like, fine. And we just sat down and looked at 2024. So I was just out there a week ago for a week. I will be back in 3 weeks for a week. My horse stayed in Oklahoma and I will train
Yeah.
there to ride him. So the hair story. The pompadour has become like, I love my hair, right? It's part of the brand. Strangers are like, you're the lady with the pompadour. You do leadership. And I'm like, absolutely. And now it's the green pompadour, right? So in July, we were out here in the mountains, and my regular stylist is in Oklahoma City, and we were getting a haircut. And this is a men's haircut. It is for every stylist listening, it is a disconnected, tapered fade pompadour. I should be able to walk into any barber shop, to
Yeah.
anybody that's been to barber school and go disconnected, taper fade, pompadour. And they're like, I understand. So
Gotcha.
the barber nods at me. But when I walk in this barber shop, it is an old school barber shop in a little tiny rural town, and I'm not giving the name. And two men get up and leave. Like it is enough that my ovaries have entered the room. They're like, we're
This
out.
has become a beauty shop. Let's get
Yeah,
out of
they're
here.
like
They're
beauty
pulling
shop.
out
They're like, is she
rollers.
getting her hair cut here? And my husband's like,
Right.
yeah. And you've met him. He's a big old gruff Marine. People don't usually mess
Yes.
with me when he's nearby. And they're gone. They're like, nope, nope, ovaries. I cannot be in the room. So I'm like, fine. So he cuts my husband's hair, does a beautiful job. And then I get up in the chair and he forgets that he's ever gone to barber college. And he shears me like some
Oh,
rabid
no.
sheep. And I'm of course faced away from the mirror, but you know the sound when too much hair went through the scissors. I think everyone
Oh,
the
no.
sound, and you're like,
Yes.
that was a big old chunk of hair, right? And when he gets done and turns me around, Amy, I look like a 27-year-old brand new law school graduate and a boy, right? So my hair is like this long. Here, we'll mash it down. It's like this long and it's sticking straight up and then it's kind of combed over. There's nothing on the sides. Skin fade, gone.
Lord
I
have
just
mercy.
stood there and my husband is looking at me like, calm down. I'll take you for ice cream. Like, don't murder anyone, babe. Come on. And the only reason I got through it is I was out here paddling and I'm like, okay, I got 2 months of hanging out on the river. Nobody cares what I look like there. I got a helmet on
Yeah,
anyway. It'll grow back.
yeah, yeah.
And 2 months later, we went home and it had grown an eighth of an inch. I still
Oh,
look like a little fuzzy. Now I look like a fuzzy headed attorney and it's not cooperating, right? It's not long enough to bend around a brush. It just stands up like I've been electrocuted.
oh
And that's
God.
September and October. November, it finally bends over a brush. So I can at least like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So now it's
So here
back.
we are in December.
Here we
It's
are in
back.
full on Elvis glory, right? People are always
So
like, "You put
perfect.
your fingers in that?" So yes, look, proof. But full
Yes.
on Elvis rockabilly glory is back. So thank you
I
for asking.
love it. I love your hair. It's such your signature, just like
It
my lip
is
is
like I don't
mine.
think I could grow. But when it was long, I tried desperately to have long hair, just like I tried desperately to be domesticated and professional, and it didn't work. When my hair was long, it laid there or it was in a half up. That was it.
Yeah.
I couldn't style it. I couldn't, but I can style
Gosh.
this, right? And I can do all the product, and it takes 10 times as much product to do my hair this long as it did
Yeah.
long.
Of course, yes.
Right.
But it's fabulous.
But yeah, it's a
But
great
okay.
story, but it's a
That was
gender
fun. That was
issue.
fun.
He didn't want to cut a woman's hair. That's really what
Yeah.
it came down to. He made damn sure I was never going to step foot in there again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That man has an upper limit problem. That's okay.
Yeah.
He has
And
so
that's
much more
okay.
that he could do.
Yeah. And that's
That's
okay.
okay.
Like you know what? He's had his barber shop for a bazillion years. He will still cut my husband's hair and that'll be amazing. And I'm still on the hunt, or I'll let Peyton cut my hair when I'm at home. So
That's right.
probably what
Just
I'll.
come home to Oklahoma for your hair. That's all right. So, speaking of ridiculous things,
Oh God, this should
what
be really good.
well, I just want to know some stories. Like, what are some of the most ridiculous situations you've walked into as far as leadership and train, like going in to train some teams? Like, what is some of the craziest stuff you've seen?
Fight clubs, uh, where we were building connection by betting on beating each other up at night after we worked all day. Um,
Wow.
I've worked in the oil field, right? So there's some really
Okay.
funny stories. Even that, like 10 years of HR at AutoNation, right? So really fortunate to work, but there's a lot of men in the car business. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, where could I work with even more men? Oh, the oil field. And then I went and did 10 years there.
Oh
And
my
I have
gosh.
been so lucky to have these leaders and these men. And there have been a few women, but these just aren't industries that are women dominated, right?
Right.
I've been super fortunate. That general manager I mentioned a while ago at the first dealership, I made a dumb mistake as a new HR person. I cost us $2,600.
Yeah.
And he called and he's like, come see me in my office. And I went trudging over there and I'm like, great, here's my HR career being over. And I'm like,
Yeah.
are you firing me? And he goes, nope, just spent $2,600 training you. And I was like,
Wow.
there's an outlook. He goes, I know
Yeah.
that you will be the best at that. And he's not wrong. It was an employee relations mistake. And I will tell you, employee relations is absolutely one of the strongest things in HR for me now. Like I will go up against anybody with it. If you called me about benefits, I'm like, no, I suck at benefits. You should call an actual grown-up that knows what they, but employee relations, I will go toe to toe with anybody and I do not lose because
Nice.
he taught me that, right? So
Mm.
those leaders, one of my leaders at Chesapeake, I had an amazing HR leader and I had an amazing services leader that both were constantly, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to grow? Is this where you're going to end up? Still talk to both of them, right?
Wow.
And now I'm the person sending the elevator back down too. And it's really
Yeah.
cool to be that one going, hey, come up here, come to a meeting with me, come meet this person with me, come to a speaking engagement. You know, it's powerful when that becomes your ability as well,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
bring people along or to kick in doors with them. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
your feral friend. I'm not knocking. We'll just kick it in and then go, hey, why was it locked?
That's
Right.
right. I'll never forget when you said that. Bring that elevator, send that thing back down for her, for whoever else that is that's wanting to get back to where you are. I think that's the beautiful shift we're seeing. And I don't know if it's so much in corporate America, but at least in the business ownership world and in entrepreneur world, it really feels like there's more room for success for everybody.
There really is. And I don't know what you're telling people, but now is the time. And I don't have children. So if you're a parent, your kid's getting ready to graduate, you might want to tell them not to listen to this episode because now's the time. If they want to work for themselves, there's never been a better time.
Oh,
I'm like,
absolutely.
there's zero chance that I would get a bachelor's degree right now and come out of college at 22, 23 and work
Same.
for $10 an hour. Like, nah, I'll take
Mm-mm.
my chances doing my own thing.
That's
And they can
right.
do it. They're doing social media. You're watching it in your industry. My industry is a little tougher, right? They're like, well, I want to consult. And I'm like, okay, well, you need some experience. You can't
That's
consult at
right.
23, right? You need to go get some of those stories of the fight clubs and the ways that you can help people. I've
That's
had a
right.
stapler thrown at my head by an upper level senior executive while he was being exited. You know, you think
Mm,
that that was like a rig hand, right? But they don't have access to staplers.
right. They didn't need a
Executive.
stapler.
Yeah, he threw
That'd
it.
have been a
Right?
wrench.
Like, you know, I've walked in rooms and been a part of mergers and acquisitions and closures, and a lot of money was in the room and had people go, oh, so you're the HR girl? And I'm like, well, I'm the person that can sign the check.
That's right. The HR girl.
Right.
Oh, okay. Good, good,
So, you
good.
know, and you
Mhm.
know how that lands. Some people can say HR girl and you know it's meant with love. You know, I know girl stands for goddess in real life. Like we can make up an acronym, right? But it
Okay.
wasn't said that way. It was like, oh, it's cute. And it's like, no, it wasn't cute.
Yeah.
You know,
You're the
again,
the
feral,
little secretary girl.
yeah. And feral,
Hmm.
I don't have to be rude, but I also don't have to sit there and go, yes, I'm the HR person and sit down and be polite. I can be like, I signed the check. Check yourself.
Yeah.
And then I can sit down. Right. And that's a boundary. You're not going to minimize me. No more. I'm not going to minimize you. Why minimize me just because of my job or
Yeah.
my gender or my sexuality or whatever it is you're not happy about?
Yeah. So you go in and you train the leaders on how uh, to better communicate with their teams, to do all the things with their teams. But if you're a team member out there, how can a team member communicate better with their leaders? What is it that a team member, maybe someone like you and I, who's a little feral, a little misfit, a little outlier, you know, we've got the weird hair, the tattoos, or the piercings, or the whatever. How do we assert ourselves to fit more, you know, into the culture where we belong, but also have have the respect in the position that we desire?
So let's tackle some of that language because it's not our job to fit in, period. It is not my job to fit in. It is your job to build a culture that includes me. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can't do that, don't write a job offer, right?
Mm,
This
yeah.
tryout, audition, probation, we're not sure if we like you. It sucks in dating and it sucks in employment, right? Be
Mm,
sure or don't call me. And
yeah.
I think that's really important that sometimes we're like, well, how do we manage up? They're still human beings. Your authenticity is still important. Your purpose and value is still important. I will tell you a line that I used very successfully as an HR person supporting leaders much higher up the food chain than I was, is that I would say behind closed doors, this is not the leader that I understand that you want to be. How can I support you? Right? Not going in there going, we don't use bad words. I'm in HR and I use bad words. It was the oil field. Like, if you can't use the F word as a noun, verb, an adverb, and punctuation, you are underqualified.
That's right.
But that's what I would say. Like, I'm not here to follow you. I'm here to be your bodyguard in front of you. But if I don't know the truth, I can't help you. So this doesn't appear to be the leader that you want to be. I might call them after a meeting and go, okay, you and I talked about this vision and then this behavior happened. Tell me more about what happened. Did you get unsure? Did you feel questioned? Did you get out of your values? Right? They get scared too. Just because you're at the top of the food chain doesn't mean you don't wake up going, I don't know how I got into this office. Right?
Especially there.
Right? Like, we own our businesses, and I wake up and I'm like, I need an adultier adult today.
I know.
Wait, this is all I have, right? And a dog.
Shit.
Yeah, shit. What are we gonna do now? I wouldn't change it for anything at this point. But that's how you do it, right? As long as you go in concerned for them. I'm not parenting them. I'm not dating them and letting them know how displeased and disappointed I am with them, right? We tangle up personal relationships into our work stuff. Just like when people quit, it's not a breakup, right?
That's right.
They're alumni. Higher ed got it right. Higher ed's like, congratulations on graduating. We're so glad you got a job. Would you like to donate?
That's right.
Right? They're not mad at all. They don't care that you go to another school for your master's degree. They're like, but your bachelor's came from us. We're your parents.
That's right. Your undergrad. We're your undergrad alumni. That's right.
Higher ed got it right. And I think we need to go talk to them more about creating community of alumni. Because when people quit your company, they can still recommend your service and your product and your next employee. And frankly, some of them are good enough, you would rehire. So stop treating them like your ex.
Right. Yeah. That has to start with the leadership, right? I mean,
all the way through, right?
100% up and down all the way across. Yeah.
If I come in your office and close the door and question you as your HR partner, I am not your teenage child questioning you. I am someone who is trying to make you look better in the world. And I'm pointing out something that it's toilet paper on your shoe. You can say it's not there, and I'm still going to sleep just fine because I let you know. Now it's going to be your decision on how you handle it. I'm not going to lay awake at night worrying that when you slide on the toilet paper on your shoe and you're mad, I told you it was there. I even told you I'd help you remove it. I even told you I'd help it not get on there again, and you weren't interested in any of that. No, I went to sleep just fine.
Man,
and people don't always want to hear that, right? Because that's the dependence you got to let go of. It is not my job to lay awake at night worrying about your poor decisions. If I helped with my whole heart, that's my job.
Man.
But that's the fair part too, right? That cat on your front porch is like, you feeding me? Because if not, I'm leaving.
That's right.
They're not there 3 nights in a row going, I'm still hungry, but I thought I'd give you one more. They're like, out.
That's right.
And to some degree we are. Feral is very in the moment, right? So like, even in my personal relationships at home, sometimes my husband puts things off too long. I do not know what that is. Oh, that's the ceiling blade flashing. But he'll put something off, right? And there's good reasons or not. And then when it finally really needs to be done and you don't feel good that day. And I'm like, but you can't put it off because you've already put it off so long, right?
That's right.
That's part of it as well. It's not that I don't understand. It's that you got to do this when you have time. You've got to do this when the window is open because you don't know what 5 days from now looks like, right? That's why we have to be really in the moment. Now, right? I need to be talking to you, not thinking about the electric bill or if it's cold or what we're doing this weekend. People instinctively know when they don't have our focus. So we have to give it to them. And we honestly get pissed off about giving it to them. So we keep reading books and going, what else can I do? And we're like, listen, no, I don't want to do that. What else could I do? And like, no, listen. Chapter 1 says listen. Chapter 3 says listen. 5 also says listen. 9.4 says listen. Get over it. You got to listen.
Yeah, that's right. You have to quit trying to think about doing the thing, learn about doing the thing, talk about doing the thing, consult about doing the thing, and then just do the thing.
Right.
And it sounds like 99% of the things can be done by starting the hard conversation. Is that what I'm hearing?
All the way back to integrity, right?
Yeah.
Courage over comfort. Say the
That's right.
tough thing. Stand up for people whose voices aren't heard. Speak for the person that is not at the table. Don't talk about the person not at the table. Speak for the person not at the table, right? Linda's not rude. Linda's autistic and may not have read your social clues well. Linda's not rude, but she also doesn't take bullshit, buddy. And if that's what you rolled up on her with, yeah, she probably told you to F off. Right? Like, you don't have to go talk like, oh, did you think she said the F word? Oh, yeah, I assure you I said the F word. It's just, but it's owning that, right? But I can also go to New York to your board meeting and I know not to say the F word in that 3 hours. I can put on the suit and perform.
Yeah.
Right? But let's call it that. Let's stop calling that authenticity. Professionalism is performance. It's not authenticity. It's a mask we put on.
You're so right. Yeah. And people don't want to be in business, be doing business, be in someone else's business where they can't truly be themselves.
Correct.
It's just, we're over it. I think that if COVID did anything, it's brought this all to light.
Yeah, it was a blessing when we have to, and I buried my best friend in COVID, right? Like, so I have to go, COVID took her, right? COVID took her, but man, it took 20 years of change and went, boom, you're going to change in 24 months. Hybrid workforces. Oh, you can't work from home. Watch this. Boom. By Tuesday, they were working from home.
That's right.
Right. So that's a change. And now, rightfully so, people are like, hey, worked just fine for the last 3 years. So no, I don't want to come back without a really good why. Okay. The why is that most of our customers are local and they thrive while seeing your face. That's a reason, but my business is 50-50 in person and virtual. I have 6 airlines within 90 minutes of me. I can be anywhere by tomorrow.
That's right.
And I'm not a trauma surgeon, right? Like, I went out of town one weekend, and my assistant at the time was like, what do I tell people if they call at 10 o'clock? I'm like, well, A, don't answer.
Right. PM? No.
Right. B, if you do answer on accident, we're not trauma. This is not 911. Nobody has a leadership development conversation that they need to be having with you at 10 o'clock at night. Now, do I have clients that have had 10 o'clock phone calls that they needed to have with me? Yeah, that's part of what I do, right? There's a crisis. There's been a death. There's been something that's going to come out on their PR tomorrow. Yeah, we're on the phone at 10 o'clock at night. That's part of consulting. But my assistant, no, you're not answering phone calls at 10 o'clock at night about leadership development. Not happening. Go have a life.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, I can't believe this time has already gone so fast. I feel like we could stay on this forever, but what's the one thing you don't want to get off this podcast without saying?
Ooh.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you're like, I got to get this out?
I really want people to stop conflating authenticity and being genuine. Right? There's a real issue right now where we're like, I'm being authentic, while you vomit all over everybody or yell at them or cry in public or act up in a meeting. And you're like, but I'm being myself. No, you need to be genuine, where your authenticity is tempered in the moment with your social intelligence, with your emotional awareness, with we're adults. It can wait till later to be addressed.
Yeah.
Some of that's the burnout, right? It's causing people to make behavioral mistakes. But there's too many people they get to authenticity, right? And they're like, this is me. I will not compromise. You will accept me as I am. And then no one wants to talk to them because they're annoying.
That's right.
You still have to be in the moment. You still have to notice my energy level, my concern. I need to look at you and go, how you feeling today? The authenticity must be tempered to the audience so that you can genuinely connect. So that's the thing. Because people are missing that right now. Put that queen
on. That's a queen leadership.
I wish my headdress was here. I would have worn it.
Oh God, I know. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about belly dancing yet. My grandma was an authentic belly dancer. I have her original costume, by the way.
Amazing.
I know, and the little finger symbols and everything. I don't know what they're called. Tell us about your hobby. Are they called finger symbols? Okay.
Yeah, zills is the pretty word for them. So I am not a traditional dancer like your grandma. That's where I started, Parks and Recreation class, right? 20 bucks 6 weeks. You go down there, put on your little hip scarf and start shimmying. That was 20 years ago. Since then, I have developed a American fusion style Fat Chance belly dance. There's been a lot of conversation about that because it was called tribal fusion for a while. And then the dancers realized how problematic and culturally appropriative it was to call an American dance style like tribal. But it's super gritty, lots of black, lots of covered up, lots of torn up fishnet, really grounded, really different music. So like right now I'm dancing to a lot of traditional Middle Eastern music, but it's mixed by EDM DJs. So they've added the bass drops and the dubstep and all that into traditional Middle Eastern rhythms. And I am loving a lot to dance to right now. So,
oh my gosh, so much fun.
But I'm actually in instructor training. I started last year. I dance with Rachel Bryce out of Portland. So she has a 5-stage, it takes 5 years to become an instructor with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She went to college and has like all the dance degrees. So it's full on vocabulary and everything. So I went to Portland this spring and took my first of the 5. And so now I'm in the process of the 1 year of study in between, and then I'll go back to Portland in the spring for the next series. So hopefully I'll teach at some point.
Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that with us. So
you're welcome.
Our guests are so vibrant, so wild, pompadour, belly dancing, the whole 9 yards. You guys get it all here. Thank you so much. And I understand you have a free resource for our listeners.
Yeah, we're going to have a little fun. So I use short code. So all you have to do is text the word curious to 66866. It's going to come back and say, hi, I'm Linda. Hey, you want to give me your email address? You're going to say, I'd love to give you my email address because you know I'm ADHD. I'm only going to email you like once a month. Everyone that gives me their email address within 24 hours of the podcast episode going live, I'm going to do a drawing. If you're the one I draw for, you get a 2-hour teaching session that you can use with your team, you can use with yourself, you can use with 5 of your buddies, but you'll get me for 2 hours on a topic of your choice from the ones that I do. So that's what we're gonna do. The value is $1,700. So that's why we're going to do it that way. Yeah, be fun.
Thank you guys. So thank you guys so much. That's going to be awesome. Yeah. All of Linda's links are down. Download. Yeah, I love it. That's fun. Much more different than what we're used to, for sure. So everybody text 66866 curious, text the word curious to 66866 for your chance to enter to win that 2-hour session. Very valuable. And go over to linda-clark.com and find out all about what Linda's doing. If you want to hire her for your team, yourself, or 5 of your best friends, as she just said, she's available and will travel. Thank you, Linda, so much.
Stop letting HR control your career. Get with your friends, create your own leadership development, and go. Don't wait. Amy, thank you for everything you're doing in the Oklahoma metro area and bigger. Watching you explode as one of our local leaders, it is an honor to support your vision. And I couldn't be more privileged to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being my guest and for being a queen that leads.
The Queen's Lead podcast is recorded worldwide and produced by the kick-ass media team at the Height Digital home base in Nicaragua. Until our next episode, stay real, queens, and go lead. Remember to tap that follow and leave your review. For freebies and more real, inspiring content you love, go to amysingleton.net and connect with Amy on her socials at @TheRealAmySingleton.
One more thing. This is the legal language, what my lawyer wrote and what I need to read to you. This podcast is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am Amy Singleton, and I'm just your friend. Although I may speak to many on this show, I am not a psychotherapist, a business coach, a doctor, a CPA, a lawyer, or probably anyone who should be giving you professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for a relationship with your doctor, coach, or any other licensed professional. Got it? Good. Now go be a queen and follow me at The Real Amy Singleton.